Good afternoon, Staff Assembly. Thank you for letting me give you a little bit of information over video. I'm sorry I had to be on an airplane this afternoon, got some commitments that are taking me out of the area. So, quick legislative update. We are 60 some plus days in the session. We are within about 2 weeks of adjournment. We're getting now down to the real crux time of the session, which is where budgets are being set, appropriations are being voted on, and most of the big policy issues have kind of moved through. So the community college budget has come out of the Joint Finance and Appropriation Committee, out of JFAC. It came out with a very strong vote and a good recommendation of about a 9%, give or take, increase in overall funding for us here at NIC. That's very good news. A couple of points to keep in mind on that one. Occupancy costs for the new Career and Technical Building out on the Prairie, a little over $600,000, and negative enrollment workload adjustment. It's the formula that's used to fund enrollment when we're on the way up that hasn't been funded. The legislature now is coming back in, and where we self-funded that many years ago, they're now coming up with some money to help offset that. That's a little over $600,000 as well. Complete College Idaho was recommended at $133,000. That's close to what the governor recommended at $158,000. Security enhancements were not recommended by the governor, were not funded by JFAC. Appropriations that are still in flux, and keep in mind that the main appropriation coming out of JFAC for our general fund budget still has to be voted on by both the House and the Senate. Those bills will probably progress through, and I'm looking at my calendar here, later the week of the 16th, probably a week from now, and into the week of the 23rd. They're targeting for adjournment, sine die, on the 25th, so we'll keep you posted on that. The Career and Technical Budget, or what we used to know as PTE, which is now officially CTE, that's been signed by the governor. That appropriation has a fairly healthy increase in it for North Idaho College as well, relative primarily to the aerospace program and just overall program funding. So there's a good budget in that. Last one I want you to keep an eye on is the Permanent Building Fund budget, which will be set on Monday the 14th coming out of JFAC. There's a $1 million appropriation recommendation that would help additionally fund our collaborative use building that we're doing with the University of Idaho and Lewis Clark State College. So a couple of big things still to get out of the way. The K-12 budget's gone through, but hasn't been voted on by either the House or the Senate yet. There's some trailer bills that are coming that will help if you're familiar with that process, with career ladders and some of those things that haven't been funded yet. So that's kind of where we're at legislatively. There are some other policy things that are moving their way through, one of which is a real big interest to us here at the college is the trustee zone bill. That's come out of and gone off the House side, is passed off the House floor, and is passed out of the Senate State Affairs Committee as of Wednesday. What is today? Today is the 9th. It passed out of committee this morning. We'll go to the full Senate, probably be heard before the end of the week. That establishes 5 equal trustee zones that plus or minus a few percent have to be equally represented in population within the entire district, so Kootenai County. Existing trustees will have to, the board will have to draw 5 boundaries, set trustees into each of those 5 boundaries. There are some provisions that if 2 trustees end up living in the same zone before their next election, what would happen is the one with the most time remaining on their term would serve that out. If that's equal, then they would go to the time that they have served already. If that's equal, then it goes to a vote of the existing remaining board members. If there was a trustee who would be essentially voted out at that point, they could serve the remainder of their term representing another zone that doesn't have a representative, but when that term is over, the new representative for that trustee zone would have to live geographically within that zone. We have 3 trustees that are up for election this fall. The other one to keep in mind, there have been a couple of bills that have gone through various stages of progress with dealing with weapons and the ability to carry within city limits and on campus. There's yet another new one introduced this past Monday that's in the State Affairs Committee. We'll keep an eye on that and see. That would make it essentially legal to conceal carry without a permit if you were eligible to do so with a permit. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. And another one, House 514, is running through the process, came out of Senate Education. that establishes an Office of School Security and Safety, but housed within the Division of Building Safety, which is kind of a different dynamic, that would be almost an advocate and a central housing kind of area for best practices and review and inspection of school safety and security measures. So our security plans would be routed through them and then that would route back through to the State Board of Education. So kind of an interesting take on that there, to have it there versus in the normal education management on the state level. So that's some of the bigger things that are happening in the State House in Boise. Obviously on the federal side, we're watching Pell and seeing what's happening with that. And keeping an eye on those things as well. So thank you for having me in and accommodating me over video today, and I hope to be able to join you at your next meeting, actually in person. Thanks.